Hello people, you're making creating content difficult for me because I need to put in several colored text animations to keep you engaged. So here's a very interesting study that was done by Dr. Gloria Mark, and it says that the average person's attention span while using a digital device has decreased by 66% in the last 2 decades. From around 2.5 minutes in 2004, it has come down to 47 seconds. A Pew Research Center survey of nearly 2,500 teachers found that 87% believe that new technologies are creating a generation with short attention spans. That, my friend, is going to change today. So here's something very special that I want to share with you, and I'm not boasting, I actually mean it. I do not think I have seen many people who are as focused in life as I am, or as I have been ever since my childhood. Whenever I would do anything, I would put in my entire 100 and 200, 300% into whatever I would do, okay? Be it my studies when I was a student, be it clearing CA. Back in the days, I became a prefect. Then after that, I went on to get 100% marks in class 12th, my board exams for mathematics. Then after that, I cleared CA, and later on, I quit my job to start a business. I failed in a couple of businesses despite the fact that I gave it a lot of my hard work and effort, but sometimes businesses fail and it's okay. Gradually, what happened was YouTube, and here I am, almost 7 million people following me across social media, various platforms. So today I wanted to share how exactly I could do it. So today I'm going to share with you how exactly did I do it, because there is something definitely worth sharing about in this story. All of this could happen only because of one characteristic, which was of my ability to focus. This video is not for you if you are not serious about fixing this problem. Only for you if you are committed to making a change to be more efficient, effective, and smarter. I have an 8-step process to improving your life for a better attention span. You're not dumb. We just need to fix your ability to pay attention. But first, let's understand what's really happening to us. And I have 2 very interesting stories to share with you today to show you how unique your brain is. So smart and so stupid at the same time. But good news, that means you can control it by using some life-altering techniques. And no, I'm not going to give you that same old advice of drinking tea, getting good sleep, or eating fruits. No, this is something else, and this is unique. So I've got 8 tips on this video for you today. But before that, I have a couple of good stories to share with you. Okay, let's begin by asking you a simple question. Do you often catch yourself endlessly scrolling through reels or binge watching TV shows and web series for hours? But when it is time to study or work on a project, you either can't find the motivation or your concentration fades after just a short while. Even though we all understand that productive tasks bring long-term benefits, many still choose instant gratification from easy, quick activities of the day. Now here's something that I do want to share with you about how I see difficult things. Difficult things have always attracted me because there's a certain challenge in them. I know difficult things take time and they reward you much later, but the rewards are generally bigger, and those big rewards, they attract me. Sometimes the reward could only be in the form of satisfaction. I am trying to do something. I paint sometimes, which I haven't done in a long while now, but when I used to, I've painted all these big 5 feet tall paintings in my house. So when I started doing that, I can tell you that I knew it initially that this is not going to be sold. There is nothing gonna come out of it apart from just this pure satisfaction in my heart that I painted this beautiful painting. That is the thing, sometimes you put in hard work only to make yourself happy. Isn't that the only thing we are chasing in life? I mean, why do we do anything that we do in our lives? Is it not just for that one simple thing? Satisfaction, prosperity, happiness. And the reward is enough in itself. If it is just bringing you happiness, it is more than sufficient. So yes, difficult things always attracted me. Even now, if I find challenge in something, I'm automatically drawn to it. It's like my eyes sparkle when I'm taking that challenge up. Believe me, I am so poor technically, that I cannot even dream of starting a website of my own. But somehow I managed to build a website. Somehow I managed to get revenue out of it. Somehow I'm running a whole business using that website. So somehow I learned it on the way. And don't get me wrong, it's not that it doesn't scare me anymore. It still scares me a lot. But I've learned to deal with that fear. I've learned to handle my pressure. I've learned to do away with the stress that comes along with difficult things. It's just that it makes me happy, and that is the same satisfaction and happiness I want you to find in difficult things, because they are so rewarding. They have the ability to change your lives. Difficult activities require effort and application, making them less attractive as the reward is delayed despite their long-term benefits. But you must have seen some people around you who seem to have no problem whatsoever regularly engaging in productive activities like studying or regularly exercising or regularly working on side projects, their side hustles. There must be at least one person in your mind right now when I'm saying this, correct? How is it so? Why are some people more motivated to tackle difficult things? And is there a way to make doing difficult things easier? The driving factor here is dopamine. Yes, it's a neurotransmitter released from our brains that is responsible for desire. Often people confuse it as pleasure hormone, but dopamine is what drives our desire for things, providing the motivation to take actions. So when dopamine is released in our brains, it puts that desire into ourselves that, hey, let's do this, it's going to give you happiness, or let's do this, it's going to give you fun. So dopamine excites you to do things. It helps you in taking action. I'm using social media only as one simple example because it's all prevalent, it's everywhere. You see all these little kids with phones in their hands all the time, scrolling through the reels and watching shorts. I'm not against it. It's just the overusage that I'm against. And that is what I'm talking about. So coming back to my example, social media, if you're on it, or watching web series, this releases cheap dopamine, which requires very little effort. So one prefers doing that over working and reading, because working or reading is going to give you delayed rewards. There is going to be release of dopamine in that too, but you don't want to wait, right? None of us want to wait. We want to feel happy now. We're not ready to wait. To explain the power of dopamine, let me tell you about an experiment. One famous experiment that measured the effects of dopamine was conducted by Dr. Berridge and his team on rats. Yes, you got that right, rats. In the study, they stimulated the rats' brains by delivering bursts of dopamine whenever they pressed a lever. Okay, whenever they would press a lever, that's when they would do something. Chemically, dopamine would release in their brains. The rats became obsessed with pressing the lever, choosing it over food and even basic survival needs. This experiment highlighted how dopamine drives the brain's wanting system. So this particular chemical was making them want something, okay? Motivating, not just pleasure, but compulsive behavior in search of rewards. Okay, so what does this demonstrate? It demonstrated how dopamine plays a powerful role in addiction-like behaviors, even when the reward is unhealthy or detrimental. Just like rats, humans are driven by dopamine. Such activities create strong cravings and motivation. The brain prioritizes activities based on expected dopamine release. The brain cannot differentiate whether something is good for you in the long run or not. The brain only understands the simple feeling that it likes, and that is the release of dopamine. Brain wants it. So it cannot tell you that, oh, watching so many reels, watching it for 3 hours in a day is not good for you. No, it doesn't care. It is getting its food. It is getting dopamine. So it's going to make you want it even more. In one more notable experiment that was conducted by Dr. Robert Sapolsky, who studied dopamine release in monkeys. There's something very interesting that came out of this experiment. I read about it and I had to share it with you. The experiment involved teaching monkeys to press a lever when a light appeared, okay, with a 50% chance of receiving a treat as a reward. So here's the result that is very exciting. Dopamine levels spiked not when the monkeys received the reward, but when the light appeared, the moment of anticipation. So dopamine was not getting released on the actual receipt of reward. It was getting released before that, when the light appeared, when the monkey knew that I'm gonna get a reward. That moment of anticipation was filling him with dopamine, the release of dopamine. This finding showed that dopamine is more about the anticipation of a reward than the reward itself. This experiment highlights how dopamine drives our desire to pursue rewards, which can lead to addictive behaviors as people chase the high of anticipation rather than the actual outcome. Hooked on checking notifications, scrolling through social media, or playing games, that loop of anticipation, you get it. Constantly seeking that next hit of dopamine. Even when you don't actually have a notification, you're sure that there is going to be a notification on your phone soon. And that is releasing all this dopamine, because of which you're checking your phone again and again. You get my idea now, right? So here are the consequences. What's happening now is that with constant scrolling and endless sources of easy dopamine hits, our brains are getting overloaded. Over time, we adapt to these high dopamine levels, building up a kind of tolerance. What used to feel exciting is now just maybe normal. It's no more that exciting. You need more and more of that. Earlier, a little bit was enough, but now you're addicted to that high level of dopamine. And what happens is that as a result, those everyday activities that produce less dopamine, like studying or exercising, something that is good for you in the long run, they start to feel dull and uninspiring compared to the instant highs from video games or social media. This creates a vicious cycle where the brain craves more stimulation and motivation for productive tasks that fades away, making it harder to focus on what truly matters. For example, understand it with this. Someone who drinks alcohol regularly, they require much higher level of alcohol to reach the same level of intoxication as a first-time drinker. So a first-time drinker would be done in probably just maybe half a glass or half a drink, but somebody who drinks regularly will need at least a bottle or so to make them feel intoxicated to the same level as the first-time drinker. Similar works for dopamine. Just as alcohol tolerance requires more alcohol to achieve the same effect, dopamine tolerance makes it harder to enjoy activities that release less dopamine. Hence, you do not want to do things that don't excite you, that are dull, or they are not naturally dull. It's you who has done it to yourself. You have made them dull because they don't release that amount of dopamine. They still do. It's not that exercising doesn't generate dopamine or doing any hard task. It's still fun. It's just that for that fun element to come to you, you have to involve in it harder. You have to focus harder and for a longer duration of time. Only then you can experience that happiness, right? Because of which it doesn't excite you often. It's like, I can get it in 5 seconds. Why should I wait for 50 minutes to receive it? Brain calculates that way. And that is why your brain rejects the idea of doing hard work. Now that we understand the problem, what's the solution? How do we break free from this dopamine tolerance trap that we are into right now? Once we've hit that point where high dopamine activities have become the norm, it can feel hard to go back to the basics. But there's good news. We can reset. The key is to reduce the constant flood of easy dopamine by cutting back on those high stimulus activities and gradually reintroducing low dopamine, that is, productive habits. How do you get to that? It's about retraining your brain to find joy and fulfillment in tasks that may seem less exciting at first, but offer long-term rewards. So let's start with our 8-step process, in which the step number 1 is gonna require some effort, but I assure you, I promise you, this will help you. And if you want to stand a chance in this competitive world and you want to do something for yourself or your parents or your family, you want to prove yourself in the long run, you want to achieve something, this is, I don't know there is any other way to do this. This is the only way you got to do it. And this technique, this process is going to help you. Believe me, if you can, if you've got the ability to believe somebody who's talking to you on the internet, if you've got that capability, just believe me for once that people who are successful in the world right now are following most of these techniques right now that I'm gonna share with you, okay? Because they are productive. They help you come out of this trap that you are into right now. First step is full day dopamine detox. I learned about it somewhere. I truly enjoyed the idea. This is not an original idea. I read it somewhere and now I'm sharing it with you. The objective is to reset the brain's dopamine receptors by avoiding all high dopamine activities for one full day. Yes. How do you prepare for this? Choose a day in the week when you have minimal obligations and you can focus on your detox. Okay? Inform your friends and family about your plan to avoid any distractions. Okay. Now here's the activities that you have to involve in. First, no use of internet, phones or computers for one complete day. No listening to music or watching TV, because these are all those short-term rewarding activities that give you dopamine very quickly. We are just trying to get dopamine in a more sophisticated way, in a more planned way, rather than just picking up your phone and finding easy, cheap dopamine all the time. So no junk food or comfort eating that day, okay? Not doing anything that releases cheap dopamine. Now here are the activities that are allowed. Walking. Go for a walk in nature or a quiet area to relax and clear your mind. Meditation. Spend time meditating to reflect on your thoughts and feelings. Journaling. Amazing it is. I love journaling myself. I love it. I'm probably gonna put in a picture or so while editing of this video to show you how many journals I've got in my library. Avoid digital devices, please. Because the moment you have a digital device in your hand, you may feel that pull towards them. कि चलो कोई बात नहीं, एक बार notification देख लेती हूँ. Get it? Next is reading. Read a physical book or engage in light, non-stimulating reading material. Please do not read Bollywood gossip. It's not going to help you in your life. It's not going to. Nobody is going to value you higher that you know innermost secrets of Deepika Padukone's home. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Please read about stuff that you think is going to get you some kind of help in your career or maybe in your family to whatever. You get the idea, right? Okay. Next is embrace boredom. Accept that the day will be boring and use this time to let your brain's dopamine receptors recover. There's going to be a push from inside. You would want to do things that you're not allowed to. But that is what you have to refrain from, right? That is what we are trying to do here. That is the goal. Objective is to use high dopamine activities as rewards for completing low dopamine tasks, reinforcing productive behavior. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to receive high level of dopamine from low dopamine activities, okay? Because your brain has adjusted to high levels. It's gonna take some time for you to start seeing results. It's gonna take you at least 2 months. That is 8 weeks, 1 day in a week, right? So 8 days in total. List the productive activities you want to focus on. It could be studying, exercising, working on a side project, anything. Determine appropriate high dopamine rewards like 15 minutes of social media, or maybe some favorite snack, okay, junk. So what you would do is, this is going to be a ratio of 1:4. Like this is my ratio. When I work, what I do is that I work with focus, and I'm so glad that is not a very big problem for me. Maybe because I'm not addicted to cheap dopamine. I'm not. I barely watch television. I barely am on social media. You may say, oh ma'am, how is it possible you work on social media? I work on social media, but I don't consume too much of it. And when I consume, I'm very mindful mindful of what I'm watching, what I'm consuming. So 1:4 is a great ratio. 1 hour of hard work, and then you reward yourself with 15 minutes of cheap dopamine. It could be social media, it could be a web series, it could be a favorite snack, or anything that you enjoy. Set a ratio for work and reward, okay? In my case, it is 1:4. 1 hour of hard work, and then divided by 4, you get 15 minutes of reward. Only allow yourself to indulge in high dopamine activities after completing the planned productive task. Follow this method, and I assure you the activities that right now feel boring, mundane, and you don't want to end up doing them, after some detox days, you'd end up completing all the tasks and have a lot more motivation than what you have now. Step 2 is to switch off those notifications. I wish I could show you my phone right now. It's just not here right now. I don't have my notifications on for Instagram. I don't have them on for my WhatsApp. Yes, I do have them on for my business WhatsApp. I've got 2 WhatsApps, and if I could show you, I've got at least 300 messages unread on both of them. Yeah, so 600 in all. I'm not in a habit of replying on time, and sometimes I just forget. I don't reply. And I think people have adjusted their expectations of me in that regard. They know that she is really poor with that. And it is working for me. Nobody cares, you know. I know if I won't reply, there'll be barely anybody. See, if something is very urgent, they'll call, right? It's okay. If I've forgotten, you may call if it is urgent or it is important, right? I do the same if you don't reply. Okay. Step number 3 is minimize multitasking. Please do not multitask. You think that you're doing enough when you're doing 4 things together, but what you're actually doing is you're doing nothing. When you are talking to your mom, and at the same time you're also talking to a friend on your WhatsApp, what happens is that neither you're showing commitment to your mom nor are you committed to your friend, because both these tasks you're doing half-heartedly. So when you're multitasking, you're not doing anything completely. Your attention is divided, your focus is divided. It's not a good thing. I take a lot of pride in saying I'm not a multitasker, although women are crowned with this theory that they multitask and they're so good at it. I suck at it. I'm very, very bad at it. If I am on my laptop and I'm writing a script and somebody shouts at me and says something to me, high chances are I will not reply because I didn't hear. I probably will not listen to you when I'm on my laptop writing a script. Now, you may say, ma'am, you're just exaggerating. You've got to live a couple of days in my house with me to know I am that way. And I'm not rude. People know, and that's what they expect. They know she's like that, and it's okay. When I'm working. I cannot say it otherwise. There is no other way of explaining. When I'm working, I'm only working. I'm so glad, so grateful, because this, I feel, is a rare quality these days. See, the idea is not to boast in front of you. It would not give me anything. The idea is just to share with you a truly personal experience so that you gain something from it and you realize if you're making a mistake, you correct it. And if you think I can help you change that about yourself, I will be very happy and grateful to God for that I got that chance to do. So I'm just being honest with you. There are many shortcomings in me, but this is one positive, and that's how I can put it. Okay. The moment you realize you are multitasking, pull yourself away. So this is my last advice on this point. Next is step number 4, create no phone zones. There should be a zone or 2 in your house where phone should not be allowed. It could be your bedroom. It could be your mom and dad's room, that whenever I'll go to my mom's room, I'll leave my phone outside. So you could have a committed area for not having your phone around. And be very particular about it, because honestly, I have felt that, see, aeroplanes are mostly no phone zones, right? When you're on a plane, you do not have internet access. Honestly, I love it. I don't want internet on the plane. It's just so redeeming. It's just so freeing that if I'm taking an 8-hour long flight or I'm on a 16-hour long flight, I am just glad that I'm gonna be away from my phone for those 16-20 hours. It's just so freeing. That thought is so freeing. It's very relaxing. Step number 5, I'll deal with it after X. Now, this is something I heard somewhere and I truly enjoyed the idea. I've forgotten who she was. I heard it from a girl Loved it. And the idea was that if I'm doing something, probably I'm writing a script and there's suddenly this distraction that, oh, I was supposed to reply to this email. Oh, shit, I've forgotten. Now, instead of quickly shutting down what you were doing and quickly jumping onto that mail, rather a better thing to do would be, okay, I'm gonna write it down somewhere. So as quickly, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna reply to my email after X, after my script writing. Okay, you get the idea. Okay, it trains you that you're in control. It tells you that it's okay to wait, and whatever I'm doing right now is more important. First, let me finish this and then I'll get to that. Step number 6 is automate work. College hours if you're a student on your phone. Okay, now this is important. What people don't understand is that working 10 hours or 12 hours in a day is actually not very productive, because you can't really do much focused work for very long hours. If you actually calculate the productivity of that entire day, unless you have a huge deadline on your head or you have this threat of getting fired, I don't think if you calculate whatever you did in a day and you try and stuff all of that into a few hours, the productivity would barely come out to be 2 or 3 hours in a day, not more than that. Rest is just a wastage because you lack the ability to focus, and that is why you're taking longer. There's this quotation, work fills up time. So if you've got 8 hours to do something or you've got 2 hours to do the same thing, the correct answer is that you'd end up doing the same thing exactly the same way in 8 hours or in 2 hours. Not much is gonna change. iPhone has this feature of focus mode. Great feature. I use it sometimes. You should use it. It helps you cutting down on your notifications. Only urgent calls will be allowed. Next is step 7, be curious like a kid. Nowadays, what happens is that when you're outside, you're mostly on your phone if you are not doing anything else, right? So if you're sitting on a chair and you're waiting for your partner to get you a burger and he or she is in line, what you do is you quickly take your phone out and you just start scrolling. Instead of doing that, why don't you look around and what is that woman wearing, or oh, how pretty these flowers or this decoration is, or oh wow, I love the design of this table, or start observing more. Observation improves you. Observation improves your mind, your ability to think. Ask yourself those various questions. Okay, all right, Alina, what do you want to do next, or what's your next goal, or what have you planned for 2025, or where do you want to go in 2025? Ask yourself questions. If you do that, you probably would have figured out your entire life's purpose by now. There's so much time on hand otherwise, if you see, right? Step number 8 is consume long form content. I know patience is going away. We don't want to watch long form content, and there is significant drop in watching long form content. Of course, the number of hours is still more because long form content is longer. But if you see how many shorts or reels are consumed versus how many long videos are consumed, there is a gap. What is happening is that we don't have the patience to absorb long form content because it's longer, and we don't want to wait for dopamine. We want it now, right? So here are a couple of things I'd suggest that you start watching. First is podcasts. Podcasts are very, very valuable, and some really good ones are available, like from BBC, and there are a few more. Find out which suits you, which you like more. Please avoid things that do not add anything valuable to your life. Be picky, be choosy in what you're watching. Next thing that you could do is reading a book. Read a complete book, make a summary of it, write it down somewhere, what you learned in that book. Start collecting that data someplace. So thank you very much for watching the video till the end. Now what I've got for you is a small piece of homework. Tell me those 3 things, those 3 steps that you feel you can accomplish doing in the next 1 week. Okay, out of the 8, what are those 3 things that you're going to begin with right now in this very week? That's your homework, to write it in the comments for me. Okay, if you think this video has helped you in any way, it will really, really help me if you could give it a like, because that will help this idea to spread and reach many, many more people. Just a simple like. And if you could share it with other people, it would be a personal favor. Thank you very much. I'll see you in my next video always happy to create this content, and I feel lovely that so many people want to watch content like this from me, and they expect it on my channel, and I receive all this love in the comments. I read it, believe me, I read all of those comments. It's just lovely how sincere you guys are in responding to my requests and letting me know what you think and feel. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next video. My camera has really heated up very well now. Got to calm it down, keep it under the fan. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye. Take care.